It's a Sunday tip in the SEC. Kentucky returns home after a 4-game excursion with an ACC-SEC Challenge win in tow. Today, they face a Central Michigan team in the midst of a non-con gauntlet. And we say welcome to historic Memorial Coliseum with Christy Thomas. I'm Noah Frary. You'll hear from Michelle Knezevic shortly. Well, Kentucky's off to a great start. Their defense, Christy, is one of the best in the nation, but it's their balance on offense that makes them such a tough matchup.
No doubt about it. What we've learned about this team 10 games into the season is that any number of players can step up and have a day. When you look at the starting five, what you see is production from everyone, almost all of them averaging double figures, but you're also seeing dependable rebounding, sharing the basketball, and elite defense as they're one of the best shot blocking teams in the country. This is good to see as you're rounding out non-conference play if you're Kentucky.
Now Central Michigan is hoping that Ayanna Darrington's homecoming is a good one.
That's exactly right. She had an immediate impact on this team, on the All-MAC freshman team last season. Her growth this year to last year, substantial. She's incredibly athletic, has all the tools, but what Coach Kristen Haney will tell you is that she is so coachable, and the sky is the limit for what she can do for this team.
Here's Michelle Knezevic with more on Ayanna's homecoming.
Well, who doesn't love a homecoming, guys? And when we talked to Coach Haney this week, she said it's really important that she gets to schedule some of these non-conference matchups to have her players being able to play in front of a home crowd. But before the game, I got to talk to Darrington's dad, Charlie. Charlie actually was a Kentucky football player here, and he said that today truly is a dream come true. He grew up bringing her to Kentucky basketball games, and he said that a lot of friends and family are in the stands, and even the whole Frederick Douglass high school basketball team today.
Well, we are almost set for basketball here inside historic Memorial Coliseum. Kentucky makes their return to the Bluegrass for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. Key and Darrington tip it up, and Kentucky comes down with it. A Cats offense that's been firing on all cylinders, scoring over 80 points per game, 10 games into the season. Looking into the post for Clara Strack, the patented step back won't go, and an early rebound for Maddie Morrison. She is the leader of this Central Michigan team, averaging over 15 points per game. They got Mitchell and Chevry for some experience. And we talked about Darrington making her return as she works into the paint and misses the early two. Kentucky starting lineup. Tony Morgan really rounding into form. There's Jordan Obie with the early finish, and Clara Strack has been one of the best centers in the country early on this season.
Such a well-rounded player, too. I think we were talking before we came on the air about Clara Strack, and really some of her defense may be a little underrated. Even when you're the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, you still have to consider what she's been able to do for this team is immeasurable. Even when she's not scoring points, she's such a presence.
Morrison tried to push it back into the heart of that Kentucky defense. It'll stay with the Chippewas. This Kentucky defense giving up just 48 points per game, 10 games into the season. Top 3 in the country. So Chippewas basketball, just 6 seconds left on the shot clock. Freshman Turnbull gets it inbounds, gets it right back. The mid-range two won't go as Hassett comes down with the rebound, and Kentucky pushes. Morgan gets a step on her defender, and the easy finish inside.
We're seeing Tony Morgan really look for her shot, being able to create so much more than what we saw at the beginning of the season, where she really wanted to facilitate, was really trying to get into Kenny Brooks' system.
Chevry there stepping into the long two. Speaking of Morgan, averaging close to 17 points per game in her last 4, a couple of 20 pieces, including in her last game earlier this week against Miami.
What's so interesting about that too, Noah, is the idea that she's able to also distribute while she's scoring, just like that. When you talk about being able to find and facilitate, but also be able to look, it's a fine balance, and she's really striking that balance so well right now.
We'll get into it more as the broadcast goes on, but Morgan has been one of the best point guards in the SEC this season. There's Mitchell working downhill, lost it. Kentucky with numbers. Obie running the floor, finishes through the contact, and Kentucky off to a good start.
I love the little grin from Tony Morgan as she comes back down the floor, just knowing that she's stacking the stat sheet at this point, being able to get some steals, score in transition. Kentucky's so dangerous in transition. We haven't seen a ton of it this year from them, but when they really get into a flow of the game, It's so fun to watch.
Here's Maddie Morrison, the long two, goes in, her first basket of the contest as the MAC Freshman of the Year a season ago. 511 points for her in her debut in Mount Pleasant. Kentucky 4 for 4 from the field early. Looking inside for Obi. Matched up on Mitchell. Double comes, spins out of it and hits it.
And that's defended. I mean, if you're Central Michigan, there's not much else you can do with that. Being able to knock down that little fadeaway jumper like that on the turning baseline, that's so tough. There was a hand in her face. She had help side defense coming.
Darrington working on the much taller Clara Strack. Nowhere to go. Deep in the shot clock. Morrison, the long two, too strong. Offensive rebound, but coughed up by Darrington. Get the sense this could be a challenging night offensively for Central Michigan as Key rewarded for running the floor. And a timeout coming for Kristen Haney. Kentucky's balance difficult for opponents. 4 different starters have already scored. The Cats up by 8 midway through quarter number 1. Has built a team with an identity of defense and rebounding. They improved by 8 wins over her first season a year ago and off to a 5-3 start so far in the 25-26 season. And it's no surprise given Haney's background, a former Michigan State star, a Hall of Famer in her career, one of the best players to ever suit up for the green and white. Found herself in the national final back in 2005, a game that they would then lose to Baylor in Kim Mulkey.
Well, you think about where she finished at MSU in scoring, first in assists, first in steals. When you can get it done on both sides of the floor, when you can be a distributor and really get the ball to your teammates, but you can also score so you know how to insert yourself there, but then you're first in steals, that's no surprise that the real identity of this team would be defense because clearly their head coach knows a thing or two about that. So, yeah, really this Central Michigan program is in very, very good hands with someone who knows how to play and win at a very high level.
Central Michigan for a long time was considered one of the best mid-majors in the country, went to an Elite 8 back in 2018, but there's been some lean years that Kristen Haney is trying to pull this program out of. Did get them back to the MAC tourney for the first time since 2021, a season ago.
You know, and when you're in an environment like this, you also know, too, that you're trying to get your team ready for the MAC. What better way to do that than to go on the road and play some really tough games? They've done that. They've not shied away from anybody, but they understand that they're outmatched here, but they're going to come in and give it everything they got. They're going to have great work ethic. They're going to do and stay within their system and who they are and what they do, trying to get themselves ready for when the calendar turns over to January and they start MAC play. Want to make a run here. Playing with the chip on their shoulder in the MAC.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, right.
That basket for Turnbull comes in her first career start today as Morgan gets downhill. Quite a discrepancy there in experience. Tony Morgan, over 105 career starts. Turnbull just her first. This Kentucky team 9-1 to begin the season. Kenny Brooks at the helm. A chance for some history for him personally today. A win today would be his 550th career victory over 3 schools, James Madison, Virginia Tech, and now Kentucky. Tony Morgan back at the free throw line.
Incredibly impressive when you think about what Kenny Brooks has been able to do throughout his career. Real longevity in this business, in this industry, and only one, this is 24th season, only one losing season. I mean, this was such a great hire for Kentucky when this was a team that, you know, plays in one of the toughest conferences in the country and needs to know how to get back to winning, needs somebody that can really develop that winning culture, that they belong here. They deserve to be in the discussion, not just in the SEC, but in the national picture as well, too.
Since coming to Lexington, he has quickly changed the narrative. This is a Kentucky school that has largely been known for their men's basketball program. It's won over 2,000 games, 8 national championships, but you can sense the excitement beginning to build here in Lexington about this women's program and what Kenny Brooks and this standout staff are doing so far.
When you know you're a winner when you can come in year one and start to already change that narrative. It was like there wasn't this time or this situation where you're going to have some building blocks and trying to get some things in place. He was doing all that and winning.
Boone triggers the 3. Let's be honest, Big Blue Nation, they don't let you have off seasons.
Right.
Here's Anderson, gets in deep. Christy, if you're Central Michigan, how do you deal with the length of Kentucky?
You're going to have to start knocking down some outside shots because clearly, you know, they want to be able to go inside to Darrington, but that's going to be tough going. You're going to have to wait for those double teams to come. You're going to have to wait for those long arms to go. When they do, you got to pass the ball back out. You got to be able to make that extra pass, knock down some of those mid-range jumpers, knock down some of those three-point shots.
Oh, a great high-low pass there. Strack into Obi. She's got 8 here in the first quarter.
Well, it's Kentucky's game plan on offense, just being able to take advantage of the size, the mismatch from Jordan Obi there, and her physicality.
Good move there. Darrington
Beautiful.
Gets the better of Strack. First basket in her return to Lexington. Played her high school ball at nearby Frederick Douglass.
And did that at a very high level. My goodness, took them to a Sweet 16, an 11th region title.
Another great entry as Strack feasts on the Central Michigan interior defense. Mentioned Lila Turnbull, the freshman out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Running the point today, first career start, long 2, doesn't go. Obi's looked great early on, but turns it over this time. Turnbull looking to use the screen, and will draw the foul there on Jordan Obi. Kentucky off to a great start in this game offensively.
Well, you see Asia Boone getting it to the top of the key there to Clara Strack, and this is what you see with Kentucky's post players is excellent passing. Clara Strack is a great passer, sees the floor so well. Then there you see Jordan Obi returning the favor, getting the pass in there. Tiani Key is an excellent passer. They see the floor so well.
Ryland Bushel, another freshman for the Central Michigan team, making her first appearance in this game, 10 in that maroon and gold. Zaria Chevry, they call her Z, working on Tiani Key and gets it up and under to go. What a finish there from Chevry.
How about that?
A long college journey for her. 4th stop in her collegiate career began at Monmouth, a team that Kentucky's very familiar with.
Yes, just 5'10", really trying to have to make something happen.
Blue triggers the 3, and there's Kentucky's first of the afternoon. She's having a nice sophomore year, has become a go-to off the bench. Her high 15 minutes per game for Kenny Brooks' side.
Little confusion here for Central Michigan trying to get started.
So far, Kentucky's done a nice job of keeping the ball out of Morson's hands as she drives on Boone, and that's why you want to keep it out of her hands.
Absolutely beautiful. I mean, she just taking advantage, really kind of stagnant on offense. Morson said, give me the ball, I'll make something happen. She called for a screen, shows you her athleticism.
Here's Morgan. Strack with the O-board, kick out, Blue, another 3 on the way. Short, Boone though grabs it. And Kentucky will reset. The 5th year, Morgan guarded by Bushel. Good switch there from Chevry, deep in the shot clock. Kentucky got to get a shot off. Morgan just throws it up. And a nice defensive possession there from Central Michigan.
A great defensive possession and got a mismatch there on Tiani Key. That's what I was so impressed with Bushel. Really trying to muscle her up and work through that, not allowing the pass to come in there. Really just some unorganization by Kentucky there. Not a great possession for them for sure.
Defense certainly the identity for Central Michigan. Can they turn that defensive possession into a good look offensively? Here's Morson, guarded by Hassett. She'll rise up over the top. Misses it as Kentucky pushes again.
That's not a bad shot for Morson. I don't mind that at all. Just really having a little bit of daylight. She's got a great looking shot. She's a scorer. Here's
Amelia Hassett has been struggling shooting the basketball, hoping to get going here this afternoon. Again, late in the shot clock. Kentucky's got to go. Hassett, corner three, short. Just 3 for her last 20 from downtown over her last 4 games. Chippewas quickly the other way. You draw the foul, and we'll head to the free throw line. Central Michigan, Christy, doing a nice job of weathering the early storm.
They are, and they're, to your point, doing it on the defensive end, but this is a great drive here, just great recognition by Anderson to get something going. 2 really tough possessions for Kentucky on the offensive end where they're really going to have to work on some screening, some cutting. We didn't see much of that. They're really looking to try to make something happen, get into their offense, be efficient.
This is Taylor Anderson at the free throw line. Will hit a pair. Bit of an oddity these days in college basketball. A rare 4-year player at Central Michigan. 87th career game for her today. Tiani Key trying to get involved downhill and just bullied her way to the basket.
Well, that's just great recognition by Tiani Key that her team has struggled the last 2 trips down the floor. She knows she has a mismatch. She knows she has a step. Just taking advantage.
You get the sense that the experience at the guard position for Kentucky causing some problems as Key rejects that shot inside by Mitchell.
This is Tiani Key just realizing that she needed to get something going for her team offensively. But on that drive, this is what she can do on both ends of the floor. That's great help defense. If you get beat, that's the beauty of having those triplets back there that can make something happen defensively.
A nice move inside as Pruitt has her first basket. Shot clock off here. Kentucky can take the final shot of this opening quarter if they so choose. Again, Boone matched up on the freshman. Bushel pokes it away. Kentucky going to get into their offense. Boone was looking for Key on the roll. Instead, pulls the long 2. Offensive rebound for Key. And draws the foul inside. You love the hustle that you're seeing from Tiani Key right now.
Love the hustle and really just trying to insert herself into the offense and be more aggressive, trying to make something happen. And Pruitt doing her best to box out as best she possibly could. That's all you can do when you have a bigger player. You've got to put contact, body contact, start to push them out.
Here's Kentucky, an open look for Hassett, too strong. Boone grabs it. Blue at the buzzer, hits it. And Kentucky wraps up a strong first quarter. Lexi Blue with 5. Kentucky up by 6 after 1 here in their return to Lexington.
Kentucky leads Central Michigan. And earlier this week when we spoke to Central Michigan's head coach, Kristen Haney, she talked to us about these sweat towels that her team has. And when you see players subbing in and out, you'll see these black rolled up sweat towels with white tape. On the white tape, there are 5 words. These 5 words are urgency, toughness, grit, sisters in communication. Obviously, urgency, toughness, and grit is how she wants to see her team play each day. Sisterhood. She loved the sisterhood she had at Michigan State, and she wants that for her players here at Central Michigan. And communication. She wants her team to communicate on and off the court. Guys?
Christy, I don't know about you, but I'm always so intrigued to kind of get that inside look at a team's culture. And if you're Central Michigan, you have to be really excited about what Kristen Haney and this coaching staff are building in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, they're bringing a lot to the table here. Again, she comes from a winning culture at Michigan State. She knows what it means to get to a Final Four and what you have to do, the work ethic that you have to have. That's the other cornerstone of what she really is focused on and wants, is her team to have really good work ethic. You know, she said, when you watch us play, that's what I want you to know about us, is that we work hard. We don't lay down. We've seen that early. They call that first time out early because they were struggling, and they've gotten themselves back into this thing.
6 points now in the early stages for Clara Strack. Here's Darrington trying to return the favor inside. Driving on Strack, spins. Off the glass, it won't go. And Strack right now being hounded inside, but hangs on to the basketball.
That will go. That is, for Darrington, that's something, you know, I hope to see her continue to try to work on. I love that she threw it back out, then reestablished herself. Sometimes that's the best time to get the ball back as a post player, after you throw it back out, reestablish your position, and then get after it. She's a real athlete and can really get something going to the rim. Just going to have to continue to be patient.
Impressive on the other end of the floor there for Obi. Went right through the triple team. She's into double figures. Has become one of the most versatile guards in the SEC this season. Smith forced to give it up. Anderson with it up top, under 10 on the shot clock. Goes around the screen, into the paint. And somehow Smith got that one up, and it goes down. Kentucky, though, relentless on offense. Strack works baseline, double teamed. Loses the basketball, and Central Michigan has it.
Yeah, great defense for Central Michigan. There you see really just doubling down. Got to do something to take advantage.
And a miscue there as it goes off the hands of Smith. Jordan Obi has been a woman on a mission here early.
This is showing you her versatility. You know, she can shoot from outside, but she's got such great physicality, such strength. No idea how that went in, but I love it for Central Michigan, just being able to toss one up and get it to go. Love it.
Oh, Key right into the body, offensive foul. That'll be the first on the senior out of Cary, North Carolina. Nice job there by Taylor Anderson to step in front of the freight train that is Tiani Key. 10-point Kentucky edge here. Actually thought this was a great stat for Central Michigan. They've actually won the last 3 games against SEC teams, as we see Morrison knock down the first 3 of the game for the Chippewas.
But you're starting to see Morrison really getting to the flow of the game, really kind of settling in a bit. It's not unusual, I think, sometimes for a team outside of the Power Four to need a minute to really kind of settle into the speed and the pace of the game.
Obi coughed it up. Anderson pushing it. Step over. The left hand won't go. And a foul now goes against CMU as Kentucky will take it the other way. It'll be the first on Naku Mitchell.
And those are trips that you just can't afford to have if you're Central Michigan. When you get something going in transition at the rim, you just have to finish and take advantage. Those come so few and far between. But you're seeing Central Michigan really elevate their defense. It's turning into offense for them.
Morgan pulls from the free throw line. It's pure.
Silky smooth for Tony Morgan.
If you're Central Michigan, 4th game in a row against a power conference opponent. Notre Dame, a really tough task. Hannah Hidalgo kind of put them in the dishwasher there. You beat Purdue, you fall to Michigan, and now Kentucky as Darrington gets the easy putback.
It's a lot. I mean, what you're talking about, that schedule is daunting. That's a lot for a team like Central Michigan, but it's also understanding if we can play at a high level, if we can compete, if we can go in and beat a team like a Purdue, really play tough against a Notre Dame, come in here and give Kentucky all they want, then that absolutely gets you ready for the MAC tournament, or for the MAC portion of their schedule, and for the tournament for that matter, because only the top 8 teams make the tournament.
The Central Michigan team picked 5th in the MAC preseason poll a year ago. They were in the bottom 10, ended up finishing 7th inside that top 8, getting back to the tournament for the first year. Kent State was preseason favorite. Right now, though, UMass and Ball State have had great starts to their campaigns. Just 1 loss combined between those two as we see Strack continue her great start to today's game.
Well, and Kristen Haney talked about that preseason last year and how she was fine with that. Like, let's go in and surprise some people. Let's play with a chip on our shoulder. Let's play angry. They did that. They were able to really show what they could do. They got themselves to that MAC tournament, finishing 7th. And just building on that and understanding that winning and being in the mix is absolutely going to be part of who they are.
Bounce pass into the post, 3 on the shot clock, working on Strack and Darrington, starting to heat up.
That's what I'm talking about, her really sticking with that and understanding. She's got great speed and athleticism. You may be undersized compared to Clara Strack, but you can make up for some of that with that speed and athleticism.
You can see her dad's smile growing with every made basket across
grin.
from us.
So intense.
Here's Obi, already with double figures, now has 12 so far.
That's just been a really tough matchup problem for Central Michigan here. They've got nobody that can really defend what Jordan Obi can do.
Here's Chevry, the long 2, shooter's touch. Back to Obi. Tristan, I know not everyone is into advanced analytics, but when you look at her game so far this year, averaging over 1 point per possession, those are some great numbers for Obi.
It's efficiency is all that is. I mean, that just means when you get the ball, some good things are happening.
And Tony Morgan got rolled up right there, a little slow to get up. But Central Michigan, led by the hometown kid, Ayanna Darrington, is putting together a strong start to this game. Darrington with 6, and this pretty move around the reigning SEC Defensive Player of the Year. The Kentucky Wildcats picked 8th in the SEC preseason poll, certainly outproving some of those expectations here early on this year. 17th in the country, 17-1. South Carolina's look good, although they struggled a little bit against Louisville, Texas. And let's talk about LSU. They've scored over 100 points in 8 of their 9 games so far this year, Christy.
Well, let me tell you who I'm really impressed with, too, is Texas. I mean, you talk about 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, anybody at the top of that SEC is so tough. But that's a situation, too, with Texas that, I mean, being number 2 in the country could easily make a claim for how or why they should be number 1 in the country. They play so tough. They're physical. But, you know, when you take a look at the SEC as a whole in that top 20, we talk about it ad nauseum about how this is one of the toughest basketball conferences in women's basketball, and this is why.
8 teams in the top 19 in the country. Michelle Knezovic was in the Kentucky huddle a moment ago.
Yeah, Coach Brooks' main message to his team right there was to play tough. He wants their presence to be known in the paint, go up strong when you're in the paint. So pretty much toughness overall is what he wants to see from his team as they head out this quarter.
Which really is no surprise when you consider that on Central Michigan's, on the defensive end for them, they are being the aggressor at this point. They're getting hands in there. They're getting some deflections. They're getting some steals. They're roughing up. Kentucky being a little more physical, so it certainly makes sense that that would be what he's after. Is you've got to be more physical here. This is what we're known. This is what the SEC is known for: is real physical play.
Down low for Strack, kicks it back out for Morgan. Penetrates. Hassett for 3, and that one feels good. She had been just 3 for her last 20 from downtown. Gets that one to go. Quick piece of housekeeping. They did go to the video review monitor during that last time out. There was a 3 at the 7:38 mark in the second quarter by Maddie Morrison. It was changed to a 2, so 1 fewer point for her, as Morrison, who we were just talking about, draws her first foul. It's never fun when they take points away from you.
Right? You think, gosh, what? That's when I wasn't even paying any attention to that. I thought, yeah, that was true as a 3 for sure. But
fortunately for you, Christy, when you play basketball, they didn't have the ability to take points away from you on a play like that.
That's exactly right. When you don't have replay and can't go back and look at it, that's it.
Here's Key working into the post and called for the walk. Just move that pivot foot. You can see a little frustration there on the face of 7 in white. Both teams have done a nice job keeping the turnovers down, just 4 apiece. Neither team known for their ability to create a lot of steals. Here's Morrison working on the taller Key, forced to give it up. Mitchell drives, kicks, jab step. The 3 there from Chevry comes up short. Technically goes down as the first 3 of the game for CMU as Boone hits her first 3 of the afternoon. He's been averaging 2.5 threes per game as Central Michigan coughs it right back up. Boone again. Short this time. Fans were ready to erupt if that one had gone down.
Yes. For my angle, that looked good. We were right there on it. Look, it was online.
Mitchell just takes the 2.
Yeah, really smart.
Kentucky leading by 12. They've been red hot from the field, shooting 67% from the field so far this afternoon. And that's a big reason why. An easy look inside, but Morgan couldn't finish. Keno. And now Morrison comes down with it and will push. Back into Darrington. Extra step, up and in. And that got her dad out of his seat.
Yes, it did. Goodness gracious. But that, again, we've talked about her athleticism. This is her ability to create and be patient. This requires some patience here when you're really trying to figure out what's open. What do you got? What's the defense giving you? Great look there from the baseline to be able to see exactly what she was up against there. Nice job. What I've loved about Darrington, watching her go to work on the basket there, is seeing her be able to.
And a quick whistle right there. They'll call the jump ball.
Yes, I thought he was going to call a foul. That's why I stopped dead in my tracks. I thought, what in the world? No way he's calling a foul.
So we'll stay with Central Michigan.
There was no signal there. I thought, goodness gracious, surely that's not a foul. That's just a tough play there. But Darrington going to the rim is how tight that becomes as she tries to get the ball up there going to the rim. That shows you that athleticism. There you see it again.
Double figures now for her, and her return to Lexington was a 2024 Kentucky Miss Basketball finalist. North of 1,500 points and 1,000 rebounds in her career at Frederick Douglass. As Morgan goes back to the free throw line, and she's taken a couple of shots. This time, though, gets up quickly.
That probably looked a little wilder than what it was. Morrison's slow to get up down there on the baseline.
So Tony Morgan will be at the free throw line, and don't look now, working on a quiet double-double so far here in the first half. 6.7 assists for one of the premier point guards in the country.
Let's see what happened here. She got going. Everybody was kind of coming in on that, tripping over each other, and I don't know if Morrison hit her head. Yeah, it looks like she was grabbing the back of her head.
Morrison with the 2 fouls now comes out of the game. Tony Morgan hits the first. Hits the second. And we talk about her being one of the premier point guards in the country, and a big reason why is her ability to score and facilitate. One of just 6 players nationally right now with over 12 points per game and north of 7 assists. Such a unique athlete out there for Kentucky.
Well, in that situation, you're really looking to be, as you're looking to try to be a facilitator and a scorer, you have to have some basketball IQ to know when to really insert yourself, when your team needs you to go look for that ball, or that score.
That foul goes on Strack. It'll be her second. And she will come out as Tiani Key. That breather short-lived.
Darrington just being the aggressor on offense. She and Strack going at it a little bit. Strack gets called.
Key doing a great job of denying the basketball right here from Darrington. Downhill drive for Anderson. Battle for it, and Key has it. Kentucky's been pushing in transition all day long as Morgan draws another foul. Kentucky in the bonus, so Morgan will go to the free throw line. The foul goes on Darrington. It will be her first.
And if you're Central Michigan, now's the time to take advantage of Darrington inside and really try to get something going. Tiani Key guarding her, but Clara Strack out, so you've got a little smaller lineup, which I say that, you take that with a grain of salt, understanding that Kentucky is very long and has some great length here, but could be a potential opportunity for Central Michigan to get something going with Darrington in the paint.
Morgan with the pair up to 10, 7 assists on the afternoon so far. Kentucky, the 12-point edge here deep in the second quarter. Boone guarding the ball handler. Inside to Darrington has double figures so far on the afternoon. And now the foul called on T. She thought that Darrington had stepped out of bounds. Did they call that in the act of shooting? Does not appear they did, so it will be Central Michigan basketball underneath. Fouls on Tiani Key as well as Clara Strack, so a couple of the Kentucky bigs in some early foul trouble. So they go with a smaller lineup here. You basically have Hassett and Obi as your bigs inside as Mitchell hits the three from outside.
Well, and there's communication on defense that we heard Kenny Brooks talk an awful lot about in practice, that he wants to see better. He thinks that has certainly improved with his team, but he says, got to have clear and concise communication. Be very specific about what you're doing, how you're covering, what you're playing. Are you over? Are you under? What's open or what's coming? Absolutely let some people know. Asia Boone there just slow, getting off that screen, being able to get out and cover the three-point shooter.
CMU has cut it to single digits. Now Mitchell cuts into the paint and will head to the free throw line. Kentucky's had 14-point leads multiple times in this game, but Central Michigan just hanging around.
There you see Asia Boone just got caught up. Great shot, wide open there. Another drive. Central Michigan being the aggressor on offense, really settling in. Again, like I said before, sometimes, when you're a non-power four, you're really trying to just settle in to the speed, the pace of the game, the physicality of it. Some teams can weather that storm, some can't. We've seen Central Michigan really bounce back from that first 4-minute stretch.
Mitchell with those two free throws, all 7 of her points coming in this second quarter as Hassett tried to slip it inside. Good defensive play there by Taylor Anderson. About a 10-second difference between shot and game clock here at the end of the second quarter. Morgan will inbound. Struggling to find an open teammate. Morgan into the paint, dumps it off. Here's Obi. It toilet bowls out. Central Michigan now with a chance to take the final shot of the half. Bushel inside. Darrington walked. Some sloppiness here from both teams at the end of the second quarter. Can Kentucky get a shot off? Morgan with 3 on the clock. Up for Obi. She'll take the 3.
Oh.
And Kentucky unable to make it 2 for 2 at the buzzer. Obi's 3 too strong. Kentucky up by 7 and 9-0 when leading at the half this season. Kentucky gets off to the fast start. They're up at the half as we go to Michelle Knezovic, who has Kenny Brooks with her.
Coach, Central Michigan was able to go on a little bit of a run there. What did you see from your defense? Well,
our defense is not connected at all. We're not communicating. We're expecting everybody else to step up and do things. We have no intensity like we need to have, and we got to change it at halftime.
What else will be the point of emphasis to this team at the half?
Just figure it out, find yourself. We're not playing together. We just have no communication, and therefore we have a lot of miscues, so we need to fix it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Michelle. Kentucky up by 7, but clearly work to do here in the second half. 45-38, Cats at the half here inside historic Memorial Coliseum. Maddie Morrison has her team right in this game. Kentucky up at the break. Kentucky here as we get set for the second half. Let's get to Michelle Knezovic, who caught up with Kristen Haney at the break.
Well, Coach Haney said she really liked the way her team locked in defensively in that second quarter. She knows that this Kentucky team is going to be able to score, but she wants them to work for every single basket. We saw that early with a shot clock violation from Kentucky. She's also really pleased with how her freshmen have looked out there. She thought they looked pretty poised and they weren't afraid of the opportunity. And I did ask her an update on Maddie Morrison. She said Maddie's all good. She'll be good to go in the second half.
Thanks for that, Michelle. You get a look at the first half stats there. Central Michigan, after the slow shooting start to this game, actually out-shooting Kentucky in that first half, though. Kentucky doing what they do and dominating in the paint, but you probably would like that margin to be a little bit higher than it's been.
Oh, no question. I mean, I think that's where we've seen Kentucky's offense get a little stagnant. I think we're going to start to see them really take advantage of Tiani Key and Clara Strack and really start to expose that size advantage. Really no reason not to.
As we get set for the third quarter, some breaking news a moment ago. The college football playoff selection has taken place. Christy, Notre Dame out, BYU out, Miami gets in. Should be a lot of fun in the next month.
I do not want to be a part of the being in the room to decide who gets what. I think there's no win in that situation, but what I do love is a 12-team field, a playoff. I think it's great for college football, and I'm excited to see how this shakes out.
First time in CFP history that 2 group of 6 teams get in. Tulane, the 11 seed. They're going to face Ole Miss, and then you got James Madison as the 12 seed after Duke won the ACC.
What's not to love about that? I mean, I think that just makes this so exciting. I think that's one of the reasons why we love March Madness so much, is because, you know, at any given time, any given player or any given team can really make a run at something, and I think these teams have worked hard. They deserve it. They've earned it, and here we go. I mean, let's see how it works out. And, you know, listen, don't sleep on Tulane. Oh, nice move.
There's Darrington, spins inside, rejected there by Strack. And it will go back to Kentucky. One final thought I did want to add there, speaking of the basketball tournament, let's not expand it anymore.
Right, I think we're good. I think we're good. I'm with you. Agree with that.
So Kentucky up by 9 here. Early on in this second half, mixed bag for the Cats in that opening salvo here in Lexington. Tony Morgan had a nice first half, 10 points, 7 assists. As Hassett triggers the 3 too strong. He continues to be cold shooting the basketball. And after some initial confusion, Natasha Brown says it will stay with Central Michigan.
You know, Michelle talked about Kristen Haney talking about her freshmen and how she was pleased with how they were doing. You know, with Lila Turnbull starting in that freshman role as a point guard. That's so tough when you're trying to make that transition. It's not easy going from high school to college. But when you start to see things really click and you start to see the light come on and you start to see them really start to figure some things out, that's when the goodness really starts to happen. And it often happens about this time of year when they can really start to understand the game. Let that slow down a little bit for them. And that also allows you to keep Morrison off the ball, which is really where she excels and where she wants to be. She's a natural 2 and would really much rather be there than handling the basketball.
Love that decision right there for Hassett. Shot has not been there over the last couple of games. You drive inside and get a high-quality look.
Well, she's that kind of player. I mean, she really is multifaceted in terms of how she can score, and she does bring a lot to this team. So she's not just a shooter, albeit that's what she is on the scouting report for most teams. She's a rebounder. She's an excellent defender.
Jordan Obi whistled for the foul there, could not believe it, picks up her second. Kentucky not in too much foul trouble, only Strack and Key with a pair of fouls, both back out there though to begin the second half. Similar for Central Michigan, only Morrison and Turnbull had 2 fouls in that opening half here in Lexington. Step back, Morrison over Hassett as Morgan grabs it. Oh, great pass. Obi in the paint. Fouled. And now we'll head to the free throw line. Christy, you and I have not worked together a ton, but if there is one pet peeve that I have, if Obi in this situation were to have been given a free throw and she makes it, I think Morgan should be credited for an assist.
Sure, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
Here's Hassett triggering the 3. No good. Skips out of bounds.
You're saying you got to be rewarded for such a great pass.
Exactly.
Getting in there, yeah.
I don't think the passers get enough love.
Yeah. Well, I think definitely post players for Kentucky. You talk about how great they are at passing. They see the floor so well. And also, you can seeing the floor is one thing, but then getting it to a post player, from one post player to another post player, or to any player for that matter, in a position where they can score right on cue, as that doesn't work out the way it should. But Clara knows that. She says, my bad. She understands. I didn't give it to you in a place where you can go do something with it and make something happen.
We saw those 2 trade a couple of those opportunities back in the first half. Unsuccessful that time. Central Michigan still having a good shooting day. North of 50% from the field against this long Kentucky defense. Here's Darrington amongst the trees. Couldn't hit the bunny. Like maybe her headband went flying as Key runs the floor and finishes for an easy 2.
Another great pass by Tony Morgan. Her 8th assist.
Darrington has it poked away. Key's pushing. Key through the contact it goes. Into double figures for Tiani Key.
Really nice job playing through contact for Tiani Key.
A timeout for Central Michigan. Tiani Key showing up in the second half. The Cats up by their largest, it's 15. This college basketball season, Tony Morgan has been one of the best PGs in the country and having another big day here today, Christy.
Well, Tony Morgan, you're actually physically able to see her getting more comfortable and getting more confidence as she goes through this season for Kentucky and under Kenny Brooks' system. Beautiful passing. She's seeing the floor so well. She's getting the ball up the court. She's also now looking to become more of a scorer and really get herself plugged into this offense in a different way.
Over 8 assists per game, actually leading Division I in total assists this season, so having a big year here in her first year in Lexington, and Michelle can add to that.
Well, it's not only those assists, no. We talked to Coach Brooks this morning. He said Tony's scoring has come along so authentically. She's been able to really create her own shot. He said they had a meeting a couple weeks ago where he said, hey, don't forget about yourself. You want to feed your teammates, but don't forget about yourself too, and we've seen that in the last couple showings from Tony Morgan.
Sometimes that's difficult to really figure out when you're new, number one, to a program and to a system and to a coach, and you're all trying to learn each other and figure things out, and you want to, you want to give your coach what he wants. Listen, when you're playing after a Georgia Amore, you certainly know that Kenny Brooks knows what he's doing in terms of how to really coach a point guard. So, oftentimes you just have to figure things out and give it time to develop, and that's what we've been able to see. She's been coachable, she's learning, she's taking it all in, and she's really becoming such a complete player.
Oh, look at the passing here for Kentucky, and Strack pays it off.
That's what we didn't see in the second quarter from Kentucky. We didn't see this offense making these passes, these cuts, we saw a little bit of it in the first quarter, didn't see it in the second quarter, so now you start to see Kentucky plug back in. Kenny Brooks used the term disconnected. We're seeing this now, being a little more connected.
Turnbull airballed it. Obi Hassett. Central Michigan still scoreless here in the third quarter. Kentucky on a 10-0 run to begin the third. Kentucky getting into one of their offensive sets. Into the interior for Strack. Great find, Key rolls it in. She's having a great afternoon.
Two-man game with your post players. Clara Strack doing a nice job recognizing the double team. Putting that ball where only Tiani Key could get it.
CMU still scoreless here in the third. Long two, Mitchell ends the drought. And I think that post play that you were just alluding to a moment ago is what makes this Kentucky team such a dangerous team come SEC play at the beginning of January.
They've got great range, the two post players do for Kentucky. They know how to make themselves available. They know how to pass. They know how to run the floor. There you see Tiani Key recognizing the mismatch with the point guard, getting after it. No choice but to foul.
And draws the foul inside. Key will be shooting free throws on the other end. Kentucky blitzkrieging Central Michigan so far here in the third. Lexington in midway through the third quarter, and Christy, this Cats offense really starting to hum.
Well, exactly what you wanted to see from them in the second quarter you weren't getting, now you are getting, and this is clearly what they've talked about in the locker room at halftime. Starts with great spacing on the offensive end, and then you see there's movement, there's screening, there's cutting, there's reestablishing yourself in the post. I love that inside out with Jordan Obi and Clara Strack, and then that nice little kickback from Clara Strack that is just so hard to defend. That's when you know you're clicking on all cylinders, when Kentucky has great ball movement going and they get the ball to the right person.
Kenny Brooks talks a lot about the style of basketball this Kentucky team wants to play. He even further talked about it this morning when we had a chance to speak with him. It's not a style that you generally see here in the SEC, and I think it's a big reason why maybe they caught some teams by surprise a year ago, but this Kentucky team's going to have a target on their back come the beginning of January.
Well, I think you know what you're getting now with this team. You know, you weren't sure, a little unsure what this young lady could provide you with Jordan Obi. You knew she was an athlete. You're seeing her be able to be a very versatile scorer for you. You're also seeing Toni Morgan settle into this point guard position very, very well, which that was, a big question mark when you lose somebody like a Georgia Amore. I think you knew what you were getting with Tiani Key and with Clara Strack, and being able to see Clara Strack just take her game, continue to take her game to another level. You know exactly what you're getting now, and so yes, I do think there is a target on their back in a big way, but I don't think they shy away from that at all. I think that's, exactly what you expect in the SEC, and come January, it's on. You got to flip that switch.
Here's Mitchell, was looking for Morrison, turned it over. Kentucky quickly coming the other way. Tiani Key, a big second half so far. 9 of her game-high 13 have come here in the third quarter. Boone triggers the 3. Just strong.
Then when or if you can get big play from Asia Boone and the likes of Lexi Blue, where you can start to see them do some really good things on the defensive end for Kentucky and step up in a way they need them to, it's just so much added benefit for this team. Kaylin Carroll, when you can start to see her really step into some solid minutes.
There's Morrison, the downhill drive,
Beauty.
And the left-hander rolls in. 9 points on the afternoon for the reigning freshman of the year in the MAC. As Kentucky quickly going the other way, draws the foul on the aforementioned Morrison, and that'll put Lexi Blue at the line.
Really love Morrison's game. There you see her at just 5'8". She seems undersized in a lot of ways, but really plays bigger. She's got great athleticism and a good sense for putting the ball on the floor and getting to the rim.
Morrison going to have to come out now with 3 personal fouls. Lexi Blue at the free throw line, scored 5 points in that first quarter of this game, though quiet since. And not her best effort there. Blue is having a really nice sophomore campaign, building on a freshman year where she struggled to crack the lineup at times, but you can really see that trust, and that's a big word that is used in this Kentucky locker room, growing with every minute that Lexi Blue has out on the court.
Yeah, and I think as she starts to improve defensively and really starts to understand the defensive principles that Kenny Brooks wants and what he's after, then she's going to continue to see more time. She's got the ability to be able to give them what they need on the defensive end. It's just a matter of now doing it.
Anderson working on Hassett. No. Second chance try there by Pruitt. Wouldn't go. A third opportunity coming. Here's Bushel in amongst the trees. Deep in the shot clock. Pruitt working on Strack. And a whistle goes against 13 and white, and Big Blue Nation letting this officiating crew know what they thought about that foul.
I think I'm a little surprised as well, too. I could appreciate her going to work down there on the block, though. Pruitt really trying to get after it here.
I don't know. That looked clean.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Maybe it must have been the body.
Well, I'm not sure I even saw that. Listen, I want to try to give Pruitt the benefit of the doubt in that situation, but when you're going against Clara Strack, who is an elite-level shot blocker, I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, she's got to be saying, when do I get the reputation call, right?
Gosh, yeah, I don't know. That was interesting call.
Pruitt hits them both. 4 points on the afternoon. Here's Morgan, open for 3 in the corner, passes it up. Better look, Boone. Yes! Sharing is caring as Asia Boone picks up her second 3 of the afternoon.
Asia Boone, such a pure shooter. It looks so good. That lefty really works hard on that shot. So now it's just expanding her game a little bit, understanding defensive principles.
Chevry gave it away. Morgan just 1 assist off of her second double-double of the season. Punched away, Hassett has it. Into the post for Strack. Spins on Pruitt, it goes with the left. 12 points this afternoon for Clara Strack. Kentucky now with 4 in double figures. Anderson trying to end the Kentucky run and does with a tough 2. Trigger. Morgan does not get the shooter's roll. We'll get a foul underneath. That will go against CMU.
There you see Toni Morgan just finds her teammate, and Asia Boone. Shooters are ready to shoot. You saw her with great placement for her hands and her feet, ready to go. And then I love watching Clara Strack post up there with Amelia Hassett, finding her underneath. Should she get double teamed, then Amelia Hassett does a great job of improving her position, moving so that her teammate can find her and be ready to shoot a three just like that.
That one looked good for a long time for Blue as Boone fouls it up. 8 points now for Asia Boone, 5 here in the third. Kentucky tied for their largest lead of this game at 20. For Central Michigan, you had to be so pleased with how that first half went, but they've struggled here in the third. Anderson throws it away. What's been different about this Kentucky defense in the second half, Christy?
Well, I think they're playing smarter and they're playing more together. You're seeing a sense of togetherness that we weren't really. Something happened from that first quarter to that second quarter where you get a little disconnected. You have to credit Central Michigan a little bit for that as well, too. But you're starting to see their defense really start to plug in and understand, listen, sometimes all it takes is your coach getting after you in the locker room at halftime and saying, this is not how we do things here. And you come back out with a little more energy and effort.
That has been something, though, this Kentucky team has been known for this season. It has been their effort in third quarters. It's their highest scoring quarter. They shoot it over 50%. You think back to the win against Louisville. You go on a 20-4 run against Miami earlier this week, a 12-0 run in those victories.
Well, and I think you have to credit this team then to understand that they're coachable. And then they go into halftime. You understand what your weaknesses have been in that first half, and then you make adjustments accordingly in that third quarter. I think that speaks to them having really nice performances and production in those third quarters.
Boone just had to heave it up. It'll be a shot clock violation. Not Kentucky's best offensive set here in the third.
And I think that's based on what you're seeing with the personnel that you have on the floor, is somebody that's willing to take charge in that situation, that's willing to be the one to say, give me the ball. Sometimes when you have certain personnel on the floor, you're still looking for that a little bit.
That one blocked by Carroll. Inside, it's Darrington, and she will head to the free throw line.
This is what I'd like to see Central Michigan do, is get Darrington more involved. We haven't seen that much in this quarter. And she's working hard, and now's the time to do it when you don't have Clara Strack or Tiani Key in the game. Just get the ball to her and let her go to work.
Well, to your point, Christy had 10 points in that first half, 8 of those coming in the second quarter for the Lexington native, Ayanna Darrington, but still searching for her first points here in the third.
Just needs more touches. Got to get her the ball. She's made herself available on a couple of trips. That's the big thing with post players as well, too, is you have to put yourself in the right position, but make yourself available. Show your teammates that you want the ball. She's doing that.
Toni Morgan back on the court for this final possession of this third quarter. 10 points, 9 assists so far today for Morgan. Has her defender in the spin cycle. Working downhill. To the basket, it won't go. And that'll be all she wrote here in the third quarter. Kentucky led by as many as 20. They lead by 19 here as we head to the fourth in Lexington. This year, but firing on all cylinders today.
This is exactly what Kentucky needs to see from Tiani Key, is being aggressive in the paint, looking for those shots, running the floor so well. She has great hands. She can make things happen by putting the ball on the floor, showing you how versatile she is as a scorer. She also has 7 rebounds, but this is exactly the Tiani Key Kentucky needs to have game in and game out.
Keep putting it together in Kentucky, as we talked about in the open. Incredibly balanced once again today. 4 players in double figures, Obi, Key, Strack, and Morgan, all putting together nice days, Christy.
Well, this is exactly what we talked about before we tipped off, but what a luxury for this team to be able to have this kind of production and consistency from your starting 5. Amelia Hassett with 5 points. Not in there in terms of double figures just yet, but it's so close. So this is great production in a lot of different ways, not just scoring, but also rebounds, assists with Toni Morgan at 9. I mean, this young lady is nearly averaging a double-double in terms of scoring and assist. What more could you ask for from someone who's trying to move into a point guard position for the first time under Kenny Brooks? But when you can get that kind of balanced production, it makes an absolute matchup nightmare for another team to try to key in on one particular player. You just can't do it.
The more you watch this Kentucky team, you get the sense that this could be a better team than they had a year ago. Definitely deeper, and you love the mix of pieces, particularly the experience in the front court.
Yeah, I think there's some real pieces here that can absolutely send Kentucky to a different level than where we saw them last season. There's no doubt, and I think you see them kind of come together a little bit differently. You know, when players have some expectations on their shoulders, like a Clara Strack or a Tiani Key, that they didn't have last season, when Jordan Obi can be counted on to really give you some big-time production. I mean, these are all things you would expect, things you were looking for, but you just weren't sure if you could get them or in what capacity you would get them. So I think Kentucky really has shown you in this non-conference portion of their schedule that they're going to be built for a deep run come March.
Hassett missed the three there a moment ago, just 1 for 6, continuing her drought from downtown, just 4 for her last 25 now. This is a player that a year ago shot north of 35% from outside. She was putting in extra work at practice yesterday alongside her head coach, Kenny Brooks, who told us about that work, that it was more about showing her that we believe in her. This is a electric shooter when she's going, but in a little bit of a shooting funk right now.
Well, what I love about Amelia Hassett is that she continues to be on the floor for Kenny Brooks and for Kentucky, because she's still valuable, even when she isn't knocking down those three-point shots like you would expect her to be able to do. She's a player that still defends. She's a player that still rebounds. She's a player that still understands the game in such a way that you have to have her on the floor. So those shots will absolutely fall. There's no question. Sometimes it just takes, it's one game. All you need is one game for something big to happen. But here's what I'll tell you is she's still so valuable for this team. Even when those three-point shots aren't falling, you've got to have her on the floor.
Strack hits the 2. The assist there from Toni Morgan. Now 10 assists on the afternoon. Second double-double of the year for 5 and White. And now a foul. Toni Morgan into Clara Strack.
That's Clara Strack showing you she's got such a repertoire of how she can score. She can score with her back to the basket. She can shoot three-point shots. She's got a mid-range game. There's, we've seen that step back, a little fall away from her, but that's also just her turning, seeing what the defense is giving her, knowing she's got a 6'5" frame that can just rise up and shoot, and that's exactly what she did, keeping it simple.
Smith driving baseline, threw it up. That came up a little bit hobbled. Looks to be okay. Here's Morgan pushing inside in the finish for 2.
Ooh, athletic, body control.
Her head coach leaped high praise on her following that Miami game. He talked about how her game sometimes looks like Kyrie Irving in the NBA. She's a really tough person to guard when she gets downhill.
Really tough to guard, and a lot of it comes from that physicality and from that athleticism. But that is what we just saw there is athleticism for sure, but also basketball IQ, that you understand this is a player waiting to take a charge, and you don't allow it to happen.
Morgan considered the 3. Instead, gets a higher percentage 3. Look for Asia Boone, who pays it off.
That's twice she's found her teammate ready to shoot.
5th cat into double figures. Kentucky with their largest lead of the game. It is 26. And Mitchell's runner will not go. Central Michigan came in and had a great first half, but the wheels have fallen off here in the second half as Hassett misses. Kentucky outscoring Central Michigan 28-9 here in the second half. Mitchell quickly into the post. Darrington lost the basketball, scooped up by Strack. Kentucky out and running. Strack short. Kentucky's missed their last 3 threes after Asia Boone's went down.
Watch Toni Morgan here really hold up. She pulls up, she sees it. She's got her eyes up, head up, and understands there's a player there, Maddie Morrison, just waiting for her to make contact, and she is able to control her body in such a way that was really an athletic move, but again, you combine that athleticism with some basketball IQ, and Tony Morgan gets the bucket.
Wholesale changes for Central Michigan at the last whistle. Morrison tried to get a shot off on the curl, couldn't. Has a mismatch here on Boone. Threw the shot up and will head to the free throw line as Asia Boone picks up her second personal. Christy, I think you could talk about the offense for this Kentucky team. You could talk about the defense. What's impressed you the most with them this season?
Well, I think in large part just the big question mark about how will this team, or what could this team do in the absence of a Georgia Amore and someone who really was a take charge kind of point guard. You know, it's one thing to replace points per game. It's another thing to replace assists per game or something within the stat sheet. But there were so many intangibles that Georgia brought to the table that you just weren't sure how could Kentucky recover from that. And I think those questions got answered very, very early, which I think then reinforces the belief that everyone that is a fan of this program should have in Kenny Brooks, that he will make sure that the right pieces are in place to continue taking this thing to the next level.
Oh, great pass for Strack, and Obi benefits from the wide open look.
That's just a real understanding of the game and really having some foresight to understand where your defender is coming from, knowing you're going to be double teamed, where's that coming from, and who's going to be the open man. I've said it before, Clara Strack sees the floor so well. It's one thing to see the floor, it's another thing to actually be able to get it to her teammate.
Strack hunting the paint, drives, kicks, Boone hit it, but it was an offensive foul against Clara Strack. It'll be 4 fouls now on Clara Strack.
As Clara Strack is posting up, she knows the double team is coming. That's having the actual vision, court vision, to understand it was Jordan Obi's player that helped, and Jordan Obi made herself available. Always have to improve your position. What does that mean when you don't have the ball? Are you standing and watching, or are you getting yourself into a position to be able to receive the ball and make something happen? Great play by both players.
Central Michigan get a paint touch. Chevry could not pay it off. Kentucky just keeps coming right now in waves. Blue open from the corner. Short. Long rebound and pitched ahead for Anderson. Anderson spins. No. Battle for the basketball, and Kentucky will get it back. At times in this second half, it's gotten a little chaotic for Central Michigan. That was something that you didn't see much of in that first half.
Well, and unforced turnovers, I think that's something that, Kristen Haney has talked about with her team. Too many turnovers that they've had in games, a lot of games, and a lot of that has come from unforced turnovers. It's not something that the defense is necessarily doing. They're just hurting themselves. So they've got to be able to get a handle on some of those. We've seen some of that this afternoon as well, too. But that happens when you're tired. She said, when they become fatigued is when they really start to lose some focus there and turn the ball over.
The freshman Lila Turnbull has it at the top, pulls the long two. That's just not a high percentage look.
It's not, and I think that's, for Central, when you've got a different lineup in here. We saw some wholesale changes before with 4 different players that are in the game. It's kind of what you'll get, a little out of sorts on offense. But again, this is a team, they're also figuring some things out as they get into January in their conference play.
The 17th ranked Kentucky Wildcats up big on the afternoon over Central Michigan as we head to a break. Here in the fourth quarter, and Clara Strack is quietly putting together another all-SEC season.
7 of 9 shooting from the field, 14 points for this young lady. But I think as you look across her game as a whole this afternoon, you really have a hard time quantifying what she does for this team when you think about stat stuffing. That's really what we've seen with 4 assists, with 3 block shots, 3 steals. But someone has quantified that, which I find absolutely wild.
Yeah, it really is incredible. Some of the advanced analytics out there. I'm a big fan of her hoop stats, and this is a look at their win share metric. This is a metric that describes the amount that a player contributes to winning efforts for her team. And right now, Clara Strack, 5th in the nation at 2.2 wins, added some great names on that. Audie Crooks, what a fantastic start to her season. And Michaela Blakes, who we will see here in Lexington a little bit later on this year, has been fantastic.
Well, and I think that's where you go, okay, what does that mean exactly? Like, as you look at, you know, the value that a player has for their team at any given time, you know, I think that's where we have to understand that it goes so far beyond points and rebounds and anything that you might see in a stat sheet as you're really going, wow, what a great game. Is because I think as you look at Clara Strack, you go 14 points, you're like, oh, okay, well, she's had a good game. No, she's really had a complete and total game, which contributes to this team being able to win. So I think ultimately that's what you're looking at, and why those stats matter is because, you know, you're saying this player is so valuable to this team that they have to have her in order to be able to win ball games. And again, that's not just scoring points.
Christy, you'll find out I'm a little bit of a nerd with all of that as we see Boone take the long two. The rebound there for Chevry, but there's another stat called PER, player efficiency rating, and at one point this year, Clara Strack was #2 in the country, only behind Audie Crooks.
And what does that stat mean? What was that telling us?
It talks about the amount of what a player is able to create with the opportunities that they get. And obviously we've seen Audie Crooks. It feels like she takes advantage of everything on the interior. Hannah Hidalgo was up in that metric as well. But I think a lot of people are just trying to come up with statistics to encapsulate fully what a player contributes to a team.
Well, that screams efficiency to me. What you're saying says every single time that she touches the ball and does something, regardless of what she does, whether it's take a shot or it's block a shot or it's pass the ball. I mean, I think we've talked about that an awful lot, that she really is a very underrated passer. She's so valuable as a passer. So, but I think you can really take a look at things like that to understand what kind of efficiency when you touch the ball you're bringing to your team.
He's had an efficient day. She's tied her season high now with 17. She's done that 2 other times this season, once against Buffalo, another time against Louisville in that big statement win. The Cats picking up their 2nd win in a row over their in-state rival for the first time since 2014 and 2015.
I think sometimes when you think about those advanced analytics, if you just watch, you know how valuable a player or players are to a team, but now you can quantify that, and being able to quantify that to say, that's real. It's not just what I think or, what my feelings might be about a certain player, but it's something that's real and tangible with a number attached to it.
Carroll missed that 3 attempt a moment ago. Kentucky just 22% from downtown on the afternoon as Josie Gilvin triggers the 3 in and out. Not the best shooting day from outside, but Kentucky finds themselves up by 29, their high water mark. Chevry picked up by the talented freshman KK Carroll. Spins, got her defender in the air, throws it up, and we'll head to the free throw line. Some frustration there from 21 as she was unable to convert.
As I look with 3 games remaining for Kentucky in the month of December before they turn the page to January and get going with SEC, is you really want to make sure, in my mind, I'm thinking a situation like this where you really had a second quarter that wasn't exactly what you wanted to see. It's putting that full 40 minutes together, and that's really what I could see Kentucky concentrating on those remaining 3 games as they turn the page to SEC play, because, you get into that kind of competition and you just can't have those stretches or those moments. I think, what'd you say, they finished the last 3 minutes of the game with no score. Those are stretches of games that will absolutely do you in the SEC. So really being able to correct those things.
No, a much-needed 3 for Hassett. She had been just 1 for 8 from downtown on the afternoon, just 4 for her last 27. Quickly the other way, Central Michigan, Johnson uses her body but couldn't finish.
Well, that again speaks to the versatility that I talk about with Amelia Hassett, that now she's guarding a post player, and she's on the block guarding the post player because she can.
Because she go 2 for 2. No, she can't. Just Still fighting through it right now, but signs perhaps the dam is about to break for 32 and white as we go under a minute to go in this fourth quarter. Inside, it's Pruitt. And a foul there goes against Kentucky. At times in this fourth quarter, we felt like maybe an alternate broadcast on ESPN2 with all these stats we've been throwing at you. But another big one, I think, for Kentucky is their net. And right now they come in 8th in the country. A game here against Central Michigan could maybe be a quad 3 game, most likely a quad 4 game at the end of the year. But Kentucky will be 10-1 at the end of the season, and they've positioned themselves well for potential seeding down the road at the SEC tournament and even an NCAA tournament.
Well, there's always method to the madness when you're putting that schedule together and you're figuring out the who and the what and where. It always has to come down to thinking about what could this mean for you in the future. It's positioning, and it's no different in football the way it is with women's basketball, men's basketball. You have to put yourself in the best position. In the women's game, obviously different than the men's game, that you're able to host your first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, and that's exactly where they're trying to be. They want to live in that place where all signs are pointing to doing all the right things, checking all the right boxes to be able to do that when postseason rolls around.
Into the interior, Hassett does not get the layup to go, and I'll add to that is I think BYU and Notre Dame on the football side would like a word, Christy.
I know, right? Listen, I don't want to be in that room making those decisions because that's tough. There are several teams that are probably pretty upset today, but Kentucky's certainly not one of them today. They get the big dub.
A big win for Kentucky and a big win for Kenny Brooks, 550 in his career as the Wildcats improve to 10-1 on this 25-26 season. Second consecutive year in a row that Kentucky finds themselves with 10 wins and just 1 loss. Tiani Key had a huge day today with 17 points to tie her season high. Kentucky with 5 players in double figures, and they continue to make light work of their non-conference schedule over the last 2 seasons.
2 double-doubles to highlight today as well, too, with Toni Morgan just continuing to be able to score and distribute 11 assists. We've seen that the last several games she has just really been able to embrace doing both of those things and has done it in such a big way. So we take a look at Toni Morgan, showing you that she's versatile there, knocking down that mid-range jumper, reading the defense, taking what they're giving you, driving and dishing, finding the open player, understanding who's guarding you, got a freshman on you, let's take advantage, distributing when your bigs run the floor like that. Toni Morgan, look here, head up, eyes up, understanding, body control. We're seeing her really have a total game for Kentucky.
Toni Morgan, we have a new general in town here in Lexington, and Michelle Knezovic is standing by with her.
Well, Toni, this team was really able to flip the switch in the third quarter. Why can this team do stuff like that?
We're just versatile. We come out, we play hard because we know we have things to fix, and we happen to fix them in the third quarter.
Second double-double tonight. What was working for you?
Passing, finding my teammates, getting downhill when we needed it, made them get some foul calls, but, just playing together.
Coach talked to us about you kind of finding your shot a little bit more, feeding your teammates, but also feeding yourself. What has that been like for you over the last couple of games to find your shot?
It's been nice. I'm still working on finding that balance, Just every game is a new game, and, some days I might need to score, some days I might need to pass, but today it was a healthy balance of both, so that's good.
I know fans probably like watching Tiani Key or Jordan Obi in the fast break. What has that connection been like between you guys?
It's been phenomenal. We have 2 great, lengthy players that can run the floor and make them work. It's amazing.
Lastly, what did you learn about this team today?
We can fight. We got to start in the first half, just come out, play better first halves, really. But we're a great team, and we just got to keep going, stay connected.
Thanks, Toni. Congrats.
Thank you.
A great team so far this season for Kentucky, 10-1 for the second year in a row. But as Toni Morgan said, still work to be done for the 17th ranked Kentucky Wildcats. The Cats get it done today in Lexington, a fun one. 5 Kentucky players score in double figures. So for Christy Thomas, Michelle Knezovic, our producer, Daniel Gibbons, and the rest of our crew, I'm Noah Frary saying so long from Lexington, Kentucky. Out on top of Central Michigan, 82-55.